Guys, I apologize for how long it's taken me to upload this video. In an attempt to make my videos more accessible, I've been trying to subtitle all new videos I make. I've also been translating the subtitles into Japanese since I speak that language. I've spent the past few months correcting errors in the auto-generated subtitles, only to have them revert to their original state. Lesson learned. From now on, I save the subtitles to my computer, not YouTube's subtitle editor. Since resubbing this video is going to take forever, I've decided to split it into several sections. This is part 1, the itinerary. On my vacation, I decided to go to the Absecon Lighthouse in Atlantic City, New Jersey. However, while planning this trip, I came across 3 problems. Problem number 1 was having to drive on I-476. Now, I used to be a truck driver and I've driven all over this country. I hate I-476 the most. It's always under construction. For crying out loud, I either build the highway or give up and replace it with a railroad. There are also no rest areas between Allentown and Philadelphia, so if I feel like I need a break, I literally can't take one. I can't stand this highway. I wish SEPTA would purchase it, remove it, and replace it with a rail line linking Allentown with Philadelphia. Anyway, problem number 2 was having to drive in Philadelphia. You know, one of my least favorite cities to drive in. I can't stand driving in this city. I can't seem to avoid almost getting hit at every single intersection. I just don't get it. If I have a green light and you have a red light, how am I almost getting hit by you? Also, there's this one intersection where every time I get a red left arrow, someone pulls up behind me and blows their horn. But I can't legally turn on a red left arrow. What do they expect me to do? These people get angry at you for not driving as recklessly as they do. The amount of road rage in this area is ridiculous. Anyway, problem number 3 was having to drive in New Jersey. New Jersey is one of my least favorite states to drive in. Like Philadelphia, it's got a huge road rage problem. Also, making a left turn in the state is next to impossible. I have wasted a lot of time waiting for an opportunity to turn left that never happens, then giving up and turning right instead. When it comes to driving, people here have zero sympathy. You will never see anyone slow down to let you onto a street or highway. Get that fantasy out of your head if you plan on driving there. I mean, they're not legally required to, but it would still be nice. And don't get me started on lane changes. When I was a truck driver, there were times when I missed an exit because cars kept ignoring my turn signal and passing me on the right, preventing me from making the lane change. Trying to switch lanes in New Jersey is so infuriatingly impossible. It's actually the worst thing about driving there. I took one look at this route and immediately said, absolutely not. There is no way I'm driving for 3 hours, especially if even 1 minute of that takes place in New Jersey. I know it says it'll take just over 2 hours, but that's just because I asked it at 11 o'clock at night, a time when hardly anyone's awake. Once you factor in traffic and people being awake, you're looking at least 3 hours. Even so, 2 hours is way too long. After scrapping that idea without even giving it a second thought, I realized something. Wait a minute. There's a train station in Atlantic City. That train station is serviced by New Jersey Transit. New Jersey Transit has a line that starts at 30th Street Station in Philadelphia and ends in Atlantic City. So now all I have to do is find a way to get to 30th Street Station from Allentown. I asked Google for transit directions between Allentown and 30th Street Station and, oh boy, we have a problem. You might be thinking that the one that goes straight from Allentown to Philadelphia is the best one, but actually, that one has you transferring twice and taking 3 buses. That's a little too much bus for me. The other one has you taking a bus to New York, then taking Amtrak to Philadelphia, which is a bit out of the way, but it still makes more sense than taking 3 buses. When looking at these lines, I realized to myself, I've seen a bus stop at Allentown that was labeled for Philadelphia. The company was called Mart's Bus. They only have 1 morning bus and 1 evening bus. Typical. See, this is why I can't stand motor coach companies. They only ever have 1 morning bus and 1 evening bus. The departure times kinda make sense, but they never seem to align with my specific needs. For example, the train that I was going to take back to Philadelphia would not get me there in enough time to take the evening bus. Furthermore, This is the only bus that's going back to Allentown. So what about Greyhound? Same problem. Only 2 buses leaving Allentown and none of them align with my plans. Sometimes I wonder how these companies stay in business when none of their departure times are ever useful. This first bus would not get me to Philadelphia in enough time to transfer to New Jersey Transit. It won't even get there before the lighthouse closes for the day. I'd literally have to extend the length of this trip by 2 days to make this possible. I couldn't do that for reasons we'll get to later in the video. The Absecon Lighthouse closes at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You can't climb the staircase any later than 3:30 p.m. Arriving in Philadelphia at 10:10 p.m. was unacceptable. After this, I tried a different website and found multiple departures going to Philadelphia. I even found a bus whose schedule aligned with New Jersey Transit's Atlantic City line. Unfortunately, this bus wasn't going to 30th Street Station. It was going to Spring Garden Station. I didn't give up on this plan right away. I went to Google to figure out how I could go from Spring Garden Station to 30th Street Station. It recommended taking a bus to a tram stop, then taking the tram to 30th Street. I will never understand Philadelphia's weird obsession with intercity bus stops being nowhere near the main station. Is there a zoning law against it or something? This is problematic because of a little thing called traffic. If this bus got stuck in traffic, it could single-handedly ruin the entire trip. Unfortunately, buses travel on roads with cars. Cars are something I want to remove from any trip that's time-sensitive as much as possible. They are such a wild variable. As a bus driver, I'm all too familiar with this. Sometimes you drive down the road and there's no traffic. Other times, the traffic will just stop for 15 minutes at a time. Sometimes the road is closed and the construction worker, who isn't from here, sends you down a road the bus can't fit on, forcing you to go to a different town to turn around. Meanwhile, you're getting later and later and wondering, what made this guy think a bus would fit down an alley? It's 40 feet long, weighs 44,400 pounds. There's no way you thought I'd fit there. Ask me how I know. These are all things I don't need on my vacation, so let's avoid it at all costs. Granted, I'm not familiar with this bus line, but judging by location alone, the line is located in downtown Philadelphia, it's a pretty safe bet that it'll get stuck in traffic. I have no issues with the tram. It's underground, so there's no way it could possibly get stuck in traffic. Would have been nice if the tram ran from Spring Garden Station to 30th Street Station. Sadly, because of this one issue, I had to scrap this plan as well. You know, going from the 3rd largest city in Pennsylvania to the 2nd largest using public transportation shouldn't be this difficult. Sadly, the only other bus that departs from Allentown doesn't even go to Philadelphia. It only goes to New York City and Niagara Falls, apparently. This is probably why Google recommended I take a bus to New York, then take Amtrak to Philadelphia. That, or they have an agreement with auto manufacturers not to provide the best transit options. That being said, Transbridge Lines offered way more departures from Allentown, and I was already familiar with their services because I've used them in the past. Not only that, but I was very familiar with all of the trains in the New Jersey and New York area, because I've gone there on several occasions. For all those reasons, the Allentown to New York portion of the trip was actually the easiest to plan. Next, all I had to do was figure out which New Jersey Transit train was going to depart from 30th Street, Philadelphia and arrive at Atlantic City in enough time for me to get to the Absecon Lighthouse. So I went to New Jersey Transit's website and looked for departure times for Friday, May 16th. 2025. And apparently I couldn't have chosen a worse time. Man, these transit companies really are making this trip easy, aren't they? I couldn't have written a better joke if I tried, especially since I'm bad at telling jokes. I wonder if I should hire a joke teller. On literally the exact same day that I was planning on going on this trip, all of the railroad employees on the New Jersey Transit system were going to be going on strike. The entire railroad was going to be shut down. For that reason, I changed my plans and rescheduled the trip to Thursday, May 15th, 2025. So I'm going to be riding the train on the day before they go on strike. What could possibly go wrong? Thankfully, I found out about the strike before I purchased the bus and Amtrak tickets because those are non-refundable. This is the first time in my entire life that I have ever experienced this while planning a trip using public transportation. On New Jersey Transit's website, they had a survey asking how the strike would affect me. I was really tempted to put down I'm a union employee, so I support the strike. Anyway, here's the official plan. I don't usually use the word itinerary because I hate that word. It's too hard to pronounce. Pay attention to these times because they will come back later in this series. And by come back later, I mean New Jersey Transit does something that almost derails my plans. Step 1. Take the 705 Trans Bridge Lines bus that's departing from Allentown Transportation Center and ride it to Port Authority Bus Terminal in New York City. This bus would get you there by 10 o'clock in the morning. It takes 3 hours to get to New York from here by bus because this is a local line that stops at multiple small towns along the way, such as a park and ride on PA 33, Easton, Pennsylvania, and 3 stops in Newark Liberty International Airport. Yeah, this bus is going to stop 3 times in essentially the same place. Step 2. Take a downtown A, C, or E subway train to 34th Street Penn Station. This is the easiest part of the trip. The A, C, and E subway trains run pretty much all day long. It doesn't matter which one you take as long as you're going downtown because all of them stop at 34th Street Penn Station. These trains run every few minutes. Literally all you have to do is stand on the downtown platform and wait for a train to show up. If only the rest of the trip was like this. Step 3. Take a southbound Acela Express departing from New York Penn Station at 11 o'clock and arriving at 30th Street, Philadelphia at 12:10. By the way, the automatic subtitles kept spelling Acela as A-S-E-L-L-A. This train has existed since 2000. How does Google still not know how to spell it? Step 4. Take a train that's so janked up, the destination sign reads $8 station. I guess the Atlantic City line is where they dump all of the old equipment. This New Jersey Transit train departs from Philadelphia at 12:58 and arrives at Atlantic City at 14:32. Yes, I'm using military time because I'm a bus driver. Anyway, New Jersey looks really small on a map, but this line, which crosses the entire state horizontally, takes over 2 hours. There are 2 buses that you could take to get to this lighthouse from the train station. Both of them require you to walk several blocks. Apparently, this particular area of the country has never heard of the concept of transferring from a bus to a train. I don't know why this is such a foreign concept to these people. Why can't the bus just stop at the train station? Just why? Anyway, one of these buses is a free shuttle and the other one is bus 505. Google Maps claims you can ride this shuttle, but you might have to be a customer of one of the hotels or casinos it services. You gotta be careful with Google Maps transit directions. Where I work, they have told customers that they can remain on board while the bus is not in service. This is a lie. Most transit agencies do not allow drivers to carry passengers when the vehicle is not in service. This is because of liability, insurance, etc. Now, I only had 1 hour to get to the lighthouse before it closed for the day, so I decided to just take a Lyft this time. For the return trip back to Allentown, Step 1. Take the 1753 New Jersey Transit Atlantic City Line train from Atlantic City Rail Terminal to 30th Street, Philadelphia. If it's running on time, that is. Don't worry, we'll come back to this later in the series. Step 2. Take a 2010 Acela Express from Philadelphia to New York Penn Station. Step 3. Unless I'm extremely lucky, this train will not get me back to New York in enough time to take the last Trans Bridge Lines bus to Allentown. Obviously, you don't want to plan your trip on a transfer that might not be possible, so I have alternative plans. Plan B, Step 1. Take a 2148 New Jersey Transit Raritan Valley Line train from New York Penn Station to Raritan, and then take Lyft the rest of the way to Allentown. Sadly, there's no way to get to Allentown from Raritan using public transportation. The Lehigh Valley Railroad used to service the city of Easton, Pennsylvania, but that railroad is now part of Norfolk Southern, a freight railroad that hates passenger trains. There have been talks about extending the Raritan Valley line from High Bridge to Easton, but no one has done anything yet. They repainted the bridge at Easton Station and did nothing else. Plan B is a bit risky because I might get that one Lyft driver who doesn't want to drive that far away from home at night, even if I increase the tip. Despite this, surprisingly, Plan B would have taken the exact same amount of time as Plan A. Plan C would have been to take the 2248 New Jersey Transit Raritan Valley Line train to Raritan. However, this plan would be even more risky because the strike starts at midnight, and this train wouldn't arrive at Raritan until a little bit after midnight. I'd literally have to just hope the driver decides to finish the entire line before leaving. So basically, I have no good plans to get back home because, as usual, there are hardly any buses that are going back to Allentown this late at night. These coach bus companies really need to step up their game. You may have looked at this plan and thought, well, this is a bit convoluted, but I assure you, I hate driving in Philadelphia so much that I'm willing to do all of this just to avoid it. Well, that's all I have for this video. In the next part, we're going to be looking at the first leg of the journey, Trans Bridge lines from Allentown to New York, Port Authority Bus Terminal. We'll also be looking at the subway ride from 42nd Street, Port Authority Bus Terminal to 34th Street, Penn Station. In case you forgot, the plan is to go to the Absecon Lighthouse in Atlantic City, New Jersey. SEPTA really needs to bring back the rail line linking Allentown with Philadelphia.